This problem is not just in Africa, it's across the board, everywhere in the world. For example, in India, over 60% of Indian population are farmers right now. But we have not asked the children because we may draw zero. So we have asked the farmers, how many of you want your children to be farmers? Not even 2%. So this magic of converting mud into food is not a small thing. If there are highly educated people here, if you're an MBA or even if you're an MSc in agriculture, I will give you 10 acres of land and ask you to grow 5 different varieties of crops for me. Please, don't torture the child, huh? So, if you ask them to grow 5 different varieties of crops, believe me, highly educated people cannot do that because we're taking agriculture for granted because people are functioning out of intrinsic knowledge, which they have gathered from hundreds of generations. So if this generation goes away in another 20 years or 25 years, who is going to perform this magic of mud to food? Once you lose that capability or that knowledge of doing this, well, the world will pay a very severe price. And this is not in one place in Africa, this is across the world, across the world. Why is this so? Why this is so is, see, for example, in United States, I'm taking United States as an example because one thing is it's the most affluent nation, another thing is a whole lot of things are better documented there than anywhere else. 50% of the American farmers have not earned a single dollar of profit in the last 12 years, 50%. And the highest suicide rates among any professions in America is among the farmers. Whole families shooting themselves. Because for years on end, if you don't make a dollar, how do you survive? Loans will grow, input costs will grow, then you have no way to survive. The only way is to lose the land. So this is happening in India also, I'm sure it's happening everywhere else. In India, in the last 20 years, 300,000 farmers have committed suicide. Everybody says, oh, it's because of the bank loan, it's happened because of this, because of that. I'm asking you, any one of you or all of you, if you were a farmer, you were on the land, whatever loans you have, whatever troubles you have, if not for commercial purpose, even if you could grow food for your own family, would you kill yourself? Hello? Definitely not, isn't it? With Africa, the problem is migration. By 2032, it is expected there will be a migration of 1.2 billion people from across the world to urban centers. In India alone, 220 million people will migrate. Why are people migrating? If there was food on the land, why would they go somewhere? When people migrate in unplanned ways, because the countries that you mentioned, this is a massive problem in southern Europe, where when people drag their wives and children and try to go to another land where they don't know the language, they don't know how to live, how to survive, nothing, simply they're coming. What happens to children and women in this whole journey is most horrendous. And how they get exploited when they come to this new place is unspeakable. Terrible things are happening. Everybody keeps their mouth shut because these people have no identities, they have no ID card, nobody knows who they are, whether they live or die, there is no account of any kind. So this is happening. If you want to prevent this, if we want to stem migration, people who consciously migrate to some other place, it's their choice. But people who are forced to migrate because there is no food to eat in the place they are, that's not a fair thing. Food must always grow where people are, it's very, very important, not somewhere else. So this migration itself can be a massive disaster in the next 8 to 10 years. 1.2 billion people moving. The media will only report the number of deaths on the way. Nobody can report the suffering that people go through, the humiliations that they go through, the debasement that happens to women and children, these things can never be recorded by anybody. Only deaths will be counted, that also we don't know.
So,